Welcome to LoyalTV. This week, we are at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma, home to folks that are truly passionate about weather and the catalyst for a multi-million-dollar industry with its eyes on the sky.
You know, when I was young, I thought I was the only person in the world who got up in the morning and looked out the window the first thing I did just to see what the weather was doing. A weather freak. Came to school at OU and I found out there's a fraternity of us. There are a lot of people who are just born interested in the weather. I started at the National Severe Storms Lab in 1970. Well, it was a time of significant growth. It was significant growth here in Norman. It was also a significant growth in meteorology. When I started in 1970, our science and meteorology was still analog. Humans took observations. We didn't have computers involved. By and large, there were a few just beginning numerical models, but other than that, we did everything by hand. And of course, there's a rapid change since then. I had never even seen a calculator, an electronic calculator, before I started at the National Severe Storms Lab. We got one in, I think, 1972, and everybody just stood around and looked at it. It was big. We used to really think we were doing good if we could forecast tomorrow's weather. Now, if you look at these forecasts, they go out 10 days. You watch your local weather on television, they're going to give you a 10, if not even a 14-day forecast. So it's 14 times better than it was back when I started. With Doppler radar, which NSSL took the lead in developing with the Norman community and with other partners in other places, we developed the kind of radar where you can see the motion of precipitation particles up in the cloud, and if rotation is forming, then you can see that development. So our average lead time now with Doppler weather radars all around the country, something we call NextRad, with that network, we can get up to 15 minutes lead time on the bigger tornadoes. Those are the most hazardous. So looking in the cloud, we can get some warning. In 15 minutes is much better than when I started because we had essentially zero lead time then. Most of the successful tornado warnings came from spotter reports. That meant the tornado was already formed and doing damage before the warning went out. Now we get 15 minutes lead time before the tornado touches down. But we'd like to get more, and in the future we have research programs that'll hopefully give us some of that. The weather industry has grown in Norman from those beginnings in the 1960s and 1970 when I started at the National Severe Storms Laboratory. And we had a very important thing occur in 2005. We had the creation of the National Weather Center, the building that we're in now, where we brought together the research and the operational people all in one place, in one building. And we have offices that are right next to each other, and we see each other in the hallway, we talk, we interact. And that has really been helpful, and we've had both the federal sector, the research, the operations, the operational offices right next door here for the forecasts and warnings, and we have the Storm Prediction Center right next door for the outlooks and the tornado watches. So we brought all of this together. We've had the University School of Meteorology become very large, so we train lots of students here now. And this enterprise also has what we call incubator buildings that are around the National Weather Center, where private companies come to work with the federal research, the University of Oklahoma. So all of these new things that we developed, and they can take and market, we can license to them, and then they can develop private sector applications and build on what we've done and sell those services to industries and all the users who need specialized information. And so it's a growing enterprise, and it's grown very large. Hundreds of millions of dollars of activity go on around here, and that's some of that growth and that activity that I'm just amazed has occurred, because when I started, these were small entities and separated entities. There's just so many things that depend on weather, and of course the cities, their activities. There's just more things than I ever imagined when I started in weather. Weather affects everything.
Join us next week as we visit the town of Sand Springs. to hear how one man's generosity founded a town built on caring, here on LoyalTV.